insurance, et cetera, money they can live off of. Is that going up at a pace that exceeds inflation? The problem is
maybe that means a new home, but kind of hard to do when grocery prices seem to still be high. How does all of this impact one another?
well, actually, ironically, the Federal Reserve, which is really the agency that takes charge when we do have an inflation problem, they actually want consumers to sort of defer some of their spending. That will take pressure off prices and that will moderate the inflation rate. Now, the trick for them is they don't want to do it so aggressively that not only do consumers moderate their spending, but they actually decrease spending and we have a recession. Unfortunately, if you look at the 13 situations in our economy since World War II, we're in a situation where we are now, where we have inflation higher than what we want. Federal Reserve steps in, raises interest rates, tries to slow the economy. That slowing actually manifested itself into a recession. That's what we don't want to have happen. And thus far, the good news is that we don't seem to see a recession over the horizon. We see more moderation, more moderate spending increases, more moderate job gains, but not declines. And that's if the Federal Reserve is able to pull this off, and by pull this off, I mean by, let's say, the end of this year, we get down to that magic 2% inflation rate year over year without a recession, that'll be amazing.
So how do you plan ahead when we have these conversations? Because so many people my age, millennials, you find them talking about how they're living paycheck to paycheck because they don't know what's going to happen with inflation. So they are trying to save money, but they're saving money in case a tire goes out instead of maybe spoiling themselves and having a steak dinner on a Friday night.
Well, I do think that especially the first half of 2024 will be similar to what we've just come off of. A lot of people who are in the situation like you described have been needing to defer doing fun things. They've been needing to defer, say, if they were looking to buy a house or a car, et cetera. I would encourage people in that situation to continue that. But what I would tell them, I think there is some sunshine over the horizon. I think by the end of this year, for example, if you were looking to buy a house, right now you're looking at borrowing money at least a 7% interest rate. I would anticipate that could be down to maybe 4 or 5% by the end of this year, and similar things with other kinds of loans. So I think that the average person who really needs the budget, and that's most of us, really needs the budget. Unfortunately, I think they need to continue doing that in 2024, but I do think the end of 2024 will show them that we're in a better place and leading into 2025 when maybe they can get back to some normal situation. For example, young people who are starting a family and they need a house will be able to buy that house.
And I don't know if it's too soon to even ask this question, so you can say, Gina, slow your roll. But many people looking ahead to tax season because they know they will get that refund check. Do you find the inflation report kind of impacting that as well, or do you not see it impacting that tax sector?
Well, ironically, what happens every year, now, of course, 2023 is gone, so your taxes have already been locked in. In fact, most people have already paid their taxes in terms of withholding. But ironically, when you hear about inflation, that actually helps us with our taxes because, and I don't want to get in the weeds here of technicality, but the tax rates are adjusted every year so that inflation does not just push you up into a higher tax bracket. That would not be good. And fortunately, the IRS takes that into account. So if you've gotten pay raises that if you look at that and say, oh, I'm going to get up into a higher tax bracket and pay more taxes, no, those tax rates for
Hey Tina, how you doing? If you want to give us the words, we should be back in about 4 minutes. I'll copy.
So usually the concerts don't end like this normally here.
14. Should we cancel AMR? We're 10-4 here.
Copy 5309.
One 540, bitch. Cut. Early, Jim.
You ready to hold?
We'll be back to this. 2